Welcome to Naked Comedy with David Zucker, where we unpack the craft, structure, and secrets behind great comedy. This podcast is filmed in front of a live audience of our Masterclass members. If you'd like to participate in these conversations live, join us at masterclass.com.
Welcome everyone who is here to watch David Zucker's new podcast, Naked Comedy with David Zucker. We have a very, very special guest with us today, Jim Herzfeld. He's an amazing human being. He's a friend of ours, and we love having him around. But that's not the reason we have him on this show today. We actually have him on the show because he knows what he's talking about when it comes to comedy, writing, TV, and films.
Well, we'll see about that.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
So Jim is a veteran screenplay writer.
He's old.
Yeah. You translate everything she says.
All of his bio.
Yeah.
He's best known for comedy classic Meet the Parents and its hit sequel Meet the Fockers.
Yes, I love how she threw modern in there.
Yeah,
It's been 20
as opposed
years.
to classics that David does.
Yes. Okay.
I do the classic, which means
All right.
I'm washed up.
There might have been some.
That means he's older
There
than
might have
you
been
are.
some overlap, I think, with the scary
I think I
movies,
am
the
older
scary
than you
movie
are.
stuff. You are a little older than me.
Okay.
Jim got his
Yes.
start in television, and he worked on
Yes.
several iconic TV shows like Married with Children and It's Gary Shandling's show.
Yes.
Before moving into features where his knack for awkward situations and razor-sharp dialogue took center stage. There we go. Whether he's putting Ben Stiller through the world's worst weekend or navigating studio comedy, Jim's work proves that great comedy comes from great discomfort.
Okay, I'll go with that.
All right, Jim, we're so happy that you are here with us on David's podcast, Naked Comedy. And let me just start by asking both of you, what movie was it that you saw and you thought, I can do this, I want to be in comedy, I want to write?
I remember thinking, I want to do this, but I didn't go, I can do this. I can do this is pretty bold. I remember distinctly thinking, hey, I have a sense of humor. Hey, I think of interesting things all the time. And then I more had I wonder if I can do this. And then I got into, well, clearly somebody's got to do it. And then eventually I realized that I was in a certain situation. This is around early college where I went, all right, I'm going to go for it. It turns out I was more qualified than most because I got into UCLA Film School where they took 1% of applicants. But if you really want to know the nitty gritty of that, I can get into it. But also I kind of went through a back door via the stand-up comedy I was doing on campus.
This is interesting because, I don't think I had a clue that I was going to be in the entertainment business, much less movie directing and writing.
Didn't come from a family of entertainers.
No, a family of schmata business and real estate.
Yeah.
It was deep in the Midwest in Milwaukee, and we didn't know anybody in show business. We didn't even know anybody who knew anybody.
Yeah, the only people I know in Milwaukee in show business, I believe, were fictional. Laverne and Shirley.
That's right.
They were real.
That doesn't really bear much
all
resemblance, and also because Laverne had this Brooklyn accent, and
true.
What's she doing in Milwaukee?
It was odd.
It was a little bit condescending, I thought. It's Milwaukee. They worked at a beer factory or something like this.
Of course. It was a kind of a trope in a way because it was that or the cheese factory.
That's right. They could have gone even lower with that.
Yes.
But you mentioned Gary Shandling. What was the talk show thing that he did?
Well, he did Larry Sanders, and that came after I was already writing movies.
Okay.
But that's a great show.
I love that show. And also the Gary Shandling show was also great.
Well, that's what I worked on. It's
And
Gary Shandling show.
Did you have anything to do with the song?
Oh, this is the theme to Gary show.
This is the theme to Gary show. The theme to Gary show.
I still have in my coffee mug that I had on the show. I still have it 40 years later, not that long, 30 some odd years later. It's Gary Shandling's drinking utensil. It says on it. And then I had a shirt that said it's Gary Shandling's t-shirt.
Yeah, it's very, very self-conscious, which is great. It's
the premise of the show was just so happened to live in the condo in Sherman Oaks that had the television cameras. That was kind of the premise of the show, where he moved into this place and there were television cameras, and then he would come out and kind of almost like he did with Larry Sanders. He would come out and start doing a little bit of a monologue. Hi, today on the show we're gonna. And he would talk about how they're doing a show. He completely broke the fourth wall, but it was always under the guise of, these things just happen in his special condo.
Right. It's so original. And that's what I love about Shandling.
Yeah.
He was so original.
Yes.
And were you
funny.
part of his basketball game?
No. One of the bigger regrets in my life was I've been a tennis guy. I'm also only 5'8.5", maybe on a good day.
Yeah.
Basketball, I've always been a decent athlete, but basketball was never my thing. I could do baseball. I was fast, so I could do, any sports. And he just said, hey, a bunch of us, we're always playing basketball. This is back in '87.
Was he up on Westridge?
Yeah, well, he moved, but then
okay.
he's not far from here.
Right.
So he said, why don't you come play basketball with us? And I went, oh, yeah.
You want to be included.
Yeah.
But...
And I was so dumb, like thinking, I don't want to go and embarrass myself. And then I found out that like people that barely played basketball were showing up to this thing. And then they went on to do amazing things by networking with people.
Right.
And meanwhile, I'm just, banging away by myself, trying to make stuff happen after that. And I was just like, so listen, folks, don't say no to anything is my advice to you.
Well, it's related to that was, I'm sure you saw the movie Basketball. We actually invented this on my driveway. And we had all these people who became famous. Pete Farrelly was one of the basketball players.
Wow.
And Richard Lovett, now the head of CAA,
oh my God, yes.
was one of the basketball players.
Yes.
Doc O'Connor, Gary Newman, who became president of Fox. All these guys.
I know all of those guys in a professional setting, but I didn't know.
And they
hung out in your driveway.
They were all on my driveway playing basketball.
Making up a sport.
We weren't even up to the level of Gary Shandling playing basketball.
The real.
These were all guys with, like it said in the movie, bad knees and, old guys and overweight. Yeah.
Well, and it's funny because Matt and Trey, who, of course, you were their first feature film effort.
Right.
Yeah. I swear, if anybody knows, hopefully I'll meet up with Pam Brady again because it involves her. She worked with them from the beginning on South Park. But I was working on a sitcom, I think around 1990, called Dr. Doctor, which was Norman Steinberg, who was one of the writers of Blazing Saddles.
Oh, yeah.
And a guy named David Frankel, who's, his father was Max Frankel, New York Times.
Uh-huh.
But David Frankel went on to direct a couple of big features like Devil Wears Prada. What's the name of that movie where it's about a golden retriever and it dies in the end? You know what I'm talking about? But that was a hit. Scott Frank wrote it. Pam Brady was on someone's desk as an assistant, and she and I hit it off. She was not, I didn't have an assistant. I was just a story editor. And she kept kind of bringing up her friends. Oh, my friends are so funny and blah, blah, blah. They're going to come out. They live in, I think they was in Colorado. I'm not 100% sure. But, and I remember her saying, oh, yeah, and then my friends are so crazy. They wrote a musical in college called Orgasmo. And I remember thinking, all right, this is, it's kind of cute that she's got these friends who are kind of crazy. Yeah. And I'm just busy writing. And then she's like, hey, Jim. Yeah. Hey, my friends, I told you about, they're here. And I went, oh. And so I didn't know it at the time, really. But Matt and Trey are like, hey, how's it going? And they were like, I'm pretty sure someday I want to ask them if that's the first time they were on a Hollywood lot. We were in Las Palmas in a production office because they had such a gee whiz thing going on. Yeah. Wow. Are you writing an episode right now? Yeah. In fact, I got to turn it in. Oh, gosh. So, tell me, like, what are you writing? They didn't know anything about they were obviously doing stuff in college that was very smart and funny. I would love to ask them, do you remember the first time you were on a lot? And I think they're going to say, yeah, Pam Brady, she was on some show and blah, blah, blah. Like, yeah, I remember that. But I remember that all later when they got super famous.
But it's also interesting is how you learn on the job. No one just arrives, okay, I know all the rules. I know how to write. I know what a movie is. I know what a sitcom. I know what the A&B story is.
If you roll into town with that attitude, they will ask you to step on that square over there and they will pull the trap door lever.
Well, that's what happened with us. We actually did learn on the job. We didn't know it right away.
Kentucky Fried Movie, right?
John Landis directed. We actually watched him direct, and we learned, okay, that's what a director does. And he was very gracious about taking half of our suggestions, but we wanted to, get everything, all our suggestions on screen.
Of course. And that's, you start to learn I want to call it the art, but maybe it's also, the pain of compromise.
I don't like to compromise. Yes. After Kentucky Fried Movie, I always got my own way, whether I was right or wrong.
Well, no, I can see that because you guys made a great profit on something that you shot for, I'm assuming, not much. Obviously, when you follow it up with your string of hits, then it was like, let them do what they want. So, but that doesn't last forever. And then you slide back into the shit show of compromise.
Well, slid back into the shit show of not doing movies. So, because
you
I
can
won't
compromise so much where you say, I'm not coming.
No,
I'm not doing it.
It's, but I will get back in the business. I'll show you.
You're in the business right now. Here we are doing a podcast.
That's right.
Now, you guys have actually worked together.
My takeaway from that is David, I don't know who contacted who, but David decided to get in bed, I guess you could call it, with the Chinese.
With the Chinese, yeah.
Yeah. Because you know what? They have a lot of money.
Well, they had some money and I was, looking for something. So we got this thing and
he found them on Temu.
Yeah. Yeah. No, my business partner at the time found them. I don't know how it did.
Anyway, I got a weird call, which is like, do you want to work with David Zucker? And I went, well, of course. And then they said, he's got these people from China Line. And I went, yeah. And they said, and they've got this idea. And it was a script that a fairly neophyte writer, I guess, had written, but he was an Asian guy. And it was called Pasta versus Noodle.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a fun idea, which was, there's been apparently a debate between the Chinese people and the Italian people who came up with the noodle or pasta first.
Yeah.
Marco Polo, of course, is not just a game you play naked in a pool, or you can put a swimsuit on if you want, but trust me, the prior version is more fun. And he was over there. Marco Polo was quite a bit in Asia. So there's some talk about, did he import pasta or the know-how of pasta to Italy? Anyway, it's a debate that is still raging among foodies, I guess.
On my IMDb page, it says one of his big projects is pasta versus noodle.
Who stuck that in there?
It's been dead for 20 years.
Yes. Well, not 20.
No,
but
I don't know how to. I have to figure. If I could figure out how to erase stuff from IMDb, maybe
I still don't know who created my Wikipedia page.
Yeah.
Someone took it upon themselves to create my Wikipedia page.
Yeah.
So I'm flattered, and it wasn't wrong, but I don't even know how to get in there. Plus, if you can look at Wikipedia and see who said what, right?
Yeah, but you have to correct some of that stuff, though. You weren't really accused of pedophilia, were you?
No, it was pedagogy.
Pedagogy, that's right. And they get
a typo.
One misspelling and your career's gone.
I know. But anyway, pasta versus noodle. And here's my takeaway from that. When you're working for Chinese people and you're writing a comedy and you're taking, using all your time and patience and skill and experience to just come up with a very clever verbal joke, you are what the Yiddish would call a schmuck. Because they give it to their translator, and he just does his best to translate it to Mandarin. So your clever play on words is gone.
Anyway, so I think we got through a draft and then they disappeared. So I would have liked to have continued it.
I know. So my friend Ryan Rowe and I both film school UCLA, and then we started doing stand-up comedy at the UCLA campus. And that's how I met Shandling, and that's how I got on the Shandling show. We used to hang out with, all the comics of the day, Bob Saget and Jerry Seinfeld and Jay Leno and Dave Coulier, and I went on to be Uncle somebody on Full House. Uncle Joe. That's your pal, Joey. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Ryan Rowe and I wound up, I didn't want to do it by myself. It's always more fun to have a partner. We had written something while I was still in college at UCLA that got made. It took a couple years. But it was a film, it's sort of a little cult film called Tapeheads, which was supposed to be like a rags to riches comedy about the rock video world. This is right when MTV was kind of taking off. And so it was a couple of guys trying to be rock video directors, but starting out having to do gigs as just videographers, like doing parties and things and like, doing living wills. And we had a scene where, they're doing a living will of a guy in a hospital bed. And then he, of course, dies on them in the middle of it. And they're worried about not getting paid. So long before Weekend at Bernie's, we did a Weekend at Bernie's joke where they put sunglasses on him. And I leave my... Yeah, we did.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. So it's a fun movie, Tapeheads. You can still find it out. Tim Robbins, who I went to school with as well. Tim Robbins stars in it. And John Cusack. And it's directed by, it was fun. It has a lot of fun music and whatever. Sam Moore and Junior Walker, if you know anything about like the R&B 60s Stax track, those guys. Sam was of Sam and Dave.
Oh, yeah. I remember Sam and Dave.
Yes. So Sam Moore was in it. Anyway, Tapeheads. Look it up if you want.
Didn't one of those guys get shot or something and killed?
No, you're thinking of the guy who sang "You Send Me" and Sam Cooke.
Sam Cooke.
Sam Cooke.
That's right. Yeah.
Yes.
That was an unfortunate.
Yes, he got shot in a hotel room.
Yeah, a hotel room by an angry husband. Yes.
Something. Yeah, it was something like that.
I think it was one of those things.
I think it was one of them things.
But one of the great losses to the R&B world.
For sure, Sam Cooke. Yeah. So there you go. Watch Tapeheads and listen to Sam
And that
Cooke.
will be my next motion.
We have a question from Russell.
Hey, Jim. Thank you for being on here and everything. Thanks so much for giving us your time. I always loved Married with Children. It was, one of my favorite shows, and I see you were on there for a season.
Yes, a very late season as a consulting producer, yeah.
I was curious just what your typical work week was like on that show. Was it Michael Moyer who was there at that point?
Michael was there. Ron Levitt was just off enjoying his money, I think, at that point. I had an interesting thing where I was, bouncing between doing film work and doing sitcoms. And I didn't want to completely get out of television. And my agents were saying, you don't, try to stay in television. So I said, all right, I can only do a consulting producer job because I have a movie to write. And I did. I was writing a movie for Disney at the time. So that was a hectic year of my life because what I wanted to do was be a consulting producer 2 days a week. And I think they made me do 3 days a week. I think it was Monday, Wednesday, Friday, something like that. And that was a grind. We had to do, I think, 22 episodes. And I was, busy I was a sole writer on my movie, and we were getting in, multiple drafts and starting to talk about production.
Were you writing like additional jokes and stuff? Or?
Well, yeah. I mean, here's the thing. I was mostly there just to sit and throw jokes. Uh-huh. They still would give me the scripts, and I had to go through all of them and read all of them and have notes about, the story itself. Yeah. Because when we got into the situation where let's just punch it up, that wasn't that big a deal for me. I punch up a lot of stuff, and writing jokes is doesn't make me sweat. But having to read everything and is this working or not? Come up with a different idea, or even pitch some ideas for other episodes. It got a bit overwhelming for me.
How important is the story in those things? And I'm just asking because I don't know.
Well, let me preface that as well as don't forget that I was on season 9, I think. Uh-huh. So they would go, hey, somebody, we've got to come up with this, remember we have a kernel of an idea, and then we need an A story and a B story and whatever. And so I'd go, oh, hey, what if Peg joins this book club? And like, we did that in season 6, episode 14. Got anything else? Oh, wait, what if Bud gets into a fight at school over, and they're like, stop right there. He's gotten into 4 fights. Okay. And, obviously didn't.
This is what happens after 9 or so seasons.
For sure. Yeah. For sure. We really want you to write an episode. And I said, okay, because normally that's what you want. That's where the money is. And I'd be getting checks for it still. It runs in syndication or whatever. Yeah. I literally had to say, I don't have time. Sorry, don't have time to write your episode. And they said, well, you had a really great idea for one. Can we use it? And I went, yeah, use it. And I think they used my idea.
But you didn't write it.
But I didn't have the time. I literally didn't have the time to write it.
Yeah. So this sounds like it ranks with not going to Shandling's basketball game.
It's up there. You want to
You're just making the best decisions.
That's what this really should be.
I don't know why we're having this guy on. Crash. He's telling us what not to do.
Yes,
that's valuable.
But it is valuable to know not what to do. Yes. So like I said earlier, I said say yes to everything. Yeah. So here I am. But I said no to writing a script for Married with Children. But yes, if you watch certain episodes, you'll see my credit fly by consulting producer. And it was a very interesting experience. I'll say this, though. And I came up with some decent jokes, and they were happy with my ability in the room to throw jokes. And look and Meet the Parents and look and Meet the Fockers and whatever. And I don't punch down a lot in my comedy. I don't hit, I don't insult people. I'm not big that way. Yeah. I've never been that. Even in my stand-up, I did stand-up early on. And that's their whole vibe. So even though I liked the show and I liked the people and I would pitch some jokes, it wasn't like my natural thing to be like, okay, here's 8 nasty things that Bud can say to his teacher.
Yeah. And they were nasty to one another, which was funny.
Right. Yeah. Right. I mean, a lot of you know this. It was pitched to the network as not the Cosbys. It was supposed to be an ugly family that fought and did stupid things. But they always hugged in the end, So
makes it okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. That makes it okay.
Yeah. great experience. Glad I have a credit in TV that most people know. And it was fun to watch the whole, vibe of. I used to sit at the read-throughs next to Christina and the guy who plays Bud. I would just love listening to their stories. They would talk about what they did that week, and it would just be like, wow.
Oh, yeah. Were they all semi-normal people though?
Yeah, they were all pretty sweet. Yeah.
That's good to hear.
It was the people involved they had the best softball team in the entertainment softball league because they'd been on the show around. So, if you're around that long, your team starts to coalesce. And so I played on their team and we would always win. So that was cool.
Now, what do you guys think is the most misunderstood part of writing a really great comedy?
Yes.
I think a lot of people don't understand how smart and funny you have to be to write a really good one.
For me, more specifically, it's, people don't realize that a good story and a good character is more important than anything. You can fill a movie with jokes, and we have done that on occasion.
Yes.
And you can even have a good plot, but if you don't have that one character who learns something and resolves it in the end.
You still need the nuts and bolts of a good story or drama for that matter.
Yeah.
And you have to have a good rooting interest. You have to, have an interesting maybe twist halfway through so that everyone doesn't know where you're going with the narrative. So all of that still is true.
What was the arc in Meet the Fockers? I know what happened. I'm more familiar with Meet the Parents.
Instead of it was just Ben trying to ingratiate himself to a family, now it was two families trying to ingratiate themselves to each other.
Right.
I didn't lean into this as much, but it was leaned into more in the Fockers, the waspy thing and the Jewish thing, and of course we got the two most iconic Jewish comedy actors, if you will. We always had our who's the best choice, and it was always Barbra and Dustin, and then the close second, which is also amazing, was Bette Midler, and Alan Arkin, or something like
Alan
that.
Arkin, right? Yeah.
We got the A-list there. And by the way, casting is, if you write a great script, then the next best thing, because a lot of great scripts don't turn into great movies. You got to have a good director, but really before director, I would put who you cast. Because
casting is
huge. Even when I think of Airplane, no one knew Robert Hayes. And
Julie Haggerty, and there was no second choice. I mean, it's, we kind of made a thing about it in the book about how, we screen tested Letterman, but Letterman never wanted it. Letterman absolutely knew his own limits, didn't want to do it. And I think we kind of forced him into screen testing because
you have that somewhere?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
That exists. And actually, Jerry and Jim and I went on Letterman's show.
Did you show it? Would he let you show it? Oh, it's probably so hilariously stiff.
Apparently, he didn't know that we were going to do it. Someday, if I see him again, I would ask him, did you know about that? Because that's a fireable offense.
No, of course. Of course. And I know people that worked for Letterman and wrote for him. And they said, he was a very funny, interesting, but there was a lot of, at the end of a lot of shows, he would be a little upset and go, well, that sucked.
I heard that too. He was really down on himself.
Yes.
But he was very critical of it. He didn't, and he was okay. He wasn't quite the Robert Hayes thing, but we thought he was very funny. And this was, I don't know if he even had a show yet at that point.
No,
he
did not. He was doing maybe
daytime.
Something in the morning and
he did
morning
a morning show,
something.
But we thought he was hysterical. And so and also we wanted to show Paramount that we were testing and trying out other people.
Right. But now you understand, especially because of the success of it, that getting somebody who was not, quote unquote, funny is what works so well.
Is what works for our
for
style.
Airplane. Yes. I mean, obviously.
And Leslie Nielsen is not funny. I mean,
no.
His reputation got to be, he's so funny. And so then people like Mel Brooks cast him in the movies thinking, well, this guy's funny. But
no, it's how straight he could play it.
And what the writing is.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, you wrote to that.
And not doing funny characters, which is another rule we have, which is called Jerry Lewis. It's all things not to do. Not that Jerry Lewis is bad or anything, but
yeah. I mean, look, I remember watching Jerry Lewis stuff when I was a kid and laughing my ass off.
Yeah.
But I was a kid.
Right. When you're a kid. And do you remember a movie called It's a mad
Of course.
This was when I was about, 13.
You must
or
have
something.
loved that movie.
I loved that movie.
Everyone loves that movie.
And I loved it so much, I made my parents go to see it.
Wow.
And they, being
so that might have been your moment.
Didn't think it was funny at all.
Really?
Yeah.
That might have been your moment, though, where you got excited about comedy and cinema.
Yeah, but if you go back and watch it, it's not
as funny as you remember.
But there are gags that are very funny.
Yes.
Just great.
Yes.
You know, when Jonathan Winters destroys the gas station,
of course,
still funny. And when they're in the plane and the cars are going faster.
Yeah.
Brilliant gag.
Yes.
What a great
and the
gag.
Cameos are great.
The cameos, yeah. Ethel Merman.
Oh my God.
So
everybody's in there. The Three Stooges just standing there with fire hoses.
Yeah.
You know, like waiting for the plane to crash. And when they did some stuff too, that, you know, Stanley Kramer, like when he had, was it Rochester from Jack Benny? Was he in the, as a cabbie or something? And then he goes flying and lands on a statue of Lincoln.
Yeah.
Holding him.
Yeah.
I mean, that was pretty edgy for then.
And Spencer Tracy in it at the end.
Yes.
And my mom, I remember my mom said how sad it was to see Spencer Tracy in that movie.
Oh, how
she thought it was sad. And then,
my God, it probably made more money than any Spencer Tracy movie in history.
Yeah, probably. But then I realized later, you know, what she meant by that. And, you know, okay, it may have been a little sad.
Well, if you watch Guess Who's Coming to Dinner.
Oh my God.
That's a little sad because he's getting pretty old.
Oh yeah. And just, it's a little bit embarrassing today. If you that
the
movie,
shock of
that
you're bringing a black man home.
We actually after Airplane, I think we had a meeting with Eddie Murphy, and we pitched him doing a version of that, which I think would have been funny. As a feature with Eddie Murphy. It would have been awesome. And
it would have been contemporary. It would have been early 80s.
Right, yeah. And it's
bringing him home.
Yeah. So anyways, with Kevin Hart. Yeah.
Well, it's funny because, you know, as I was driving over here and I thought, well, you know, what can we talk about? Because I know a big thing that you've been talking about in the press and whatnot is how comedy is under the gun now, and so many things that you could do 30 years ago, you just can't do now. And some of the funniest stuff. I mean, Blazing Saddles, let's go there for a second. Hilarious, classic. You could never get it done now. You could do some weird version of it, I guess.
I think
or
some of the language was pretty raw. I mean, the N word that they used and everything.
Yes.
But I think that, you know, we show The Naked Gun occasionally, Airplane, and Scary Movie, and those things still get huge laughs with audiences. And sometimes I get the question, could you do Airplane today? And I say, well, of course we could, just without the jokes. The truth is, Airplane wouldn't get past the studio boardrooms today.
Right.
It would, I'd say, wait a minute, you're making fun of black jive, or you're doing, everybody's too sensitive. Yeah. Or it could have been that the ratings board could have snagged us on some of that stuff. I remember that I think Meet the Parents got away with a lot of stuff that I couldn't get away with. I did a movie, an Ashton Kutcher movie, one of the only Ashton Kutcher movies that bombed, and we couldn't get stuff passed.
I'm not doubting that you went through some, you know, shit with the MPAA or whatever.
Yeah.
But I wrote nothing in Meet the Parents that would be any kind of a flag, but they did kind of lose it. They were very worried about calling the sequel Meet the Fockers. What the producers had to do, and I had always said this, that's a real name. You know, I mean, we spelled it, you know, purposefully Focker, but there are actually people out there who have that exact last name spelling. But we all know most of us know Fokker with 2 Ks. That was a famous plane they flew in World War I, the Fokker triplane. So I was not that worried about it. And so of course they did like this global search for, is your name Fokker? Can you, help us convince the studio that you people exist,
and that it may mean something too.
Well,
but not anything.
Right. Untoward. I mean, if you want to do a deep etymology dive on where we get, how do we get to the word, the fuck word?
Yeah.
It's always like, well, this in German, this kind of meant this, which it could have been just something that was, like fornicating or something. Right. It's never, the root of it is never, that always meant fuck in some other language. It's always, no, it meant something else and then it became something. And then all of a sudden fucker meant, whatever. And so it's never a straight path, to wind up being a swear word. It usually there's some curves involved. But anyway, So I'm surprised you ran into.
I remember it was either with Meet the Parents or with Mike Myers, Austin Powers. He got away with a lot of stuff. Maybe it was that.
It might have been. And they were around the same time. Meet the Parents, and Austin. In fact, same director, Jay Roach, of course. But yeah, some of the beauty of Austin Powers was how they did camera work with, with the sausage and eating it and then
right. He did
moving it, and then you're going to see your breasts and suddenly there's something in the way.
Yeah.
And they really went right up to the line there.
My opinion at the time, because I was, bitter then like I am now. So, and I thought they let Mike Myers, he's the big, I'm just like on a little pump car,
Well, Mike Myers was at one point considered for the role of Greg Focker, Gaylord. At the first draft of Meet the Parents, I wrote it for Steven Soderbergh. He had Sex Lies videotaped to his name and a couple other movies, but this was going to be his foray into comedy. And so I worked with him a very little bit and then went off and wrote it. And then I turned it in and he went, wow, this is hilarious, but it's way too commercial for me. So I'm out. And then the next movie he did was Out of Sight. Elmer Leonard book. Scott Frank does the draft and gets George Clooney and J-Lo.
Yeah.
And it's wildly commercial and it's a big hit. So, and then after that he did Aaron Brockovich. So he just.
But there is something to be said, as you were mentioning before, as to getting a real comedy director. And Jay Roach is that.
Well, and I'll stick a little thing in between Spielberg. I'm sorry, it's Soderbergh and Jay Roach was Steven Spielberg. He was on it. He was attached to direct it.
Oh, really? Okay.
With Jim Carrey playing the lead role.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of drafts, with the folks at Amblin, a lot of meetings with Spielberg and Jim Carrey. Wow. So I wrote, and then the first draft that Ben Stiller read, he went, wow, this kind of reads like it's written for Jim Carrey. Well, yes, it was. I wrote goofy stuff.
But,
physical stuff that he was Stiller
great in it. Yeah,
that's again, great cast. And by the way, I was obviously thrilled when, Steven Spielberg said he wanted to work with me and meet me, and he wrote me a very generous overall deal with DreamWorks.
Yeah.
But he was nervous about it. He is like, I did try comedy once and it didn't go so well.
It's a different thing.
1941.
Spielberg, as brilliant as he is, there is something to staying in your comfort zone, as I've learned. So it's why.
Because you were doing a Holocaust drama and it just didn't ever work out.
That's right. No, it didn't. Nobody ever heard of it. But fortunately,
thank God.
That's not on my IMDb page. But I live in a kind of a crazy house with half of a rock band and my ex-girlfriend. And everybody says, oh, you have to do a sitcom or a reality show about that. And I think it would be a good idea, but I don't want to do it. Yeah, this could be good. And then I watch an episode of Curb or of Seinfeld and I say, no, I can't do that. I mean, I could do 3 episodes, but to do what they did for 8 years, I admire them, but I don't think that I can just say, oh, because I've been successful in movies, I can just go in and knock off a TV series. I don't think I can do it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's lots of funny things that happen here, but again, to your point, how do you set up a model of sustainability where you're constantly generating episodes?
And because you have to hire other writers. And then somebody's got to be Larry David and ride herd on the whole thing. And I don't want to do it. I have 2 movie scripts that I want to do, and that's what I'm working on.
Yeah. Well, the theater needs more product. The big screen needs.
Well, then there's no movie comedy.
Couldn't even tell you. No comedies are coming out and making any kind of a dent, I think.
No, the good comedies are on TV. You have Matt and Trey, South Park.
Right.
And Impractical Jokers. There's no movie comedy because the studios are they're all hacks. And so I don't know if you saw the new Naked. I haven't seen it, but I will. I
didn't see it in the theater. I watched it at home, which old people like me prefer that.
Yeah, well, no.
I just put on my 100-inch screen and my 5.1, and
you don't want to spend money on going to a theater.
I think I laughed out loud once, which is 40 times less than I did when I saw your original.
It's like this is my bitterness coming out, and so since you're here, I can vent on you.
I got you.
Because
look, I think we can agree that in a weird way, there was some flattering of, I know it made you mad, but when someone goes, I love your stuff so much, I'm going to make it. And you go,
right.
Great. But then they kind of like
and what am
made you stand over the trapdoor.
I wrote a script, and we knew what we were doing. These guys who did it are big fans of Naked Gun.
That's what I'm saying. Seth MacFarlane's no slouch.
Seth MacFarlane is very successful and important he can print money because he's got that
Family Guy,
and he's got the TED movie. So in awe of Naked Gun, he thought, well, since I've been successful in this, I can do
this.
Will
hand
I
it
can
to
do
me,
this.
and
But
did.
They love it so much. I've likened it to one of these crazed psychotic killers who, as they're choking their victim, says, I love you, so I must kill you.
Wow.
And so they ended the Naked Gun franchise.
Well,
and that's it.
But that's what I worry about, because did they?
No.
You don't think they're talking about the next one?
Well, even Liam Neeson has said he doesn't want to do another one. And he's too old.
I know,
anyways.
but then they start throwing all the money at him, and Pam Anderson goes, I want to do it. And then Liam did it, and they're dating.
I don't think this thing,
saying,
I don't think it's even qualifies as success. It was in $25, it was not as successful as the least successful Naked Gun movie back in 1993.
I know, but there's such a dearth of comedies out there now. I'm just saying,
so they'll even
brace yourself. It could happen.
Well, no, it's
they're doing Focker-in-Law now.
Yeah,
they're doing the fourth.
That's
one.
a better idea than trying to do Naked Gun.
I don't disagree, because Focker actually, the first Meet the Parents, Meet the Fockers did very well.
Yeah, and
then Jay Roach and myself, for that matter, weren't involved with Little Fockers, and so that was not great. And the people involved gave it the old college try, but they didn't really have much to go on.
Did they even think of going to you first, though? I mean, because
I was super busy at the time, but at that point, if you really want to get into it, there's a guy named Larry Stuckey who's a great guy. He was Jay Roach's assistant, and he wanted to be a writer. They let him do the first draft or two. He's a talented guy. They never really cracked, what is this? What are we doing with Little Fockers?
So important.
Okay, so
kids don't try this at home.
Ben and Bob got paid, the old armored car, dumping it in the driveway stuff, and which is great. But I was like, well, they've killed that.
Did they even go to you first, though?
No.
Oh, because you're over 50.
Well, I wasn't that old, thanks. But I was very busy.
I'm sure there were other good reasons for never going.
I was booked back to back to back. I just worked constantly, and so I was just like, I understood. I like Larry. Larry's going to give it a shot, and I would get on phone calls early on and just be like, well, here's what I would do, and whether they took it or not, who knows?
Yeah.
But then that was not 20 years, probably almost 20 years ago, or what are we in 2025?
Yeah,
it was maybe 15 years ago. I think it came out around 2010. I think 10 plus years. Sometimes people go, are they going to do another one? And I always said, I don't know, but if they do, then to me, the organic thing to do, the clear thing to do is now it's Ben's turn to be the father that has to meet the person that's trying to become their, son or daughter-in-law, whatever. And so sure enough, that's what they've done. And John Hamburg wrote a great first draft, or a couple of drafts.
So that's ongoing.
And he's directing it. Yeah, in fact, they already shot it.
Oh.
And so I reached out to John and said, are you doing a round table? Because I did a lot of round tables, a lot of punch ups.
Yeah.
And he went, we didn't have time. And I went, oh, that sucks. And I said, if you want to send me the script, I'm happy to, what I call margin scribbles.
Yeah.
Back in the day, I used to actually print it out and get the pencil and just scribble jokes in the margin. Yeah. Now it's like, it's in final draft, and I open a note. And
I know. And so which eliminates me. I can't work any of this
stuff. See that? That's why you have Ellie. She could stand next to you and you could just dictate jokes to her. So John was gracious enough to say, yeah, man, anything you want to send me, let's do it. So I did send a fair amount of jokes his way. And again, it's his movie. He's directing it too, John Hamburg. Jay Roach is just producing it.
Yeah.
So, but they have Ariana Grande is the Focker-in-law. So we talked about how important casting is. I thought that was a brilliant move. Brilliant. I can't think of any, because she's very funny.
Yeah.
If you haven't, really taken a look at her SNL work and her earlier, she learned her chops, I guess, was it a Nickelodeon person? Yeah. Yes. So she's very funny. And, and who knows, she'll probably sing some song that they put in the beginning or the end. That won't hurt.
That's right. Yeah.
So I'm actually very optimistic that it's going to perform. And thank God, because I get a lot of people go, how come we don't make movies like, Meet the Parents, Meet the they say that about your stuff too, probably, but yours was so stylized in so many ways. And so they're really saying is, where's just the kind of like the simple premise, relatable kind of thing where you just execute it really well with good, good casting, funny jokes, some heart and all that. I'm like, I don't know. I haven't seen those lately myself. I don't want to sound like the crabby old guy, but I will say this. People say, well, what's a movie you've seen in the last couple of years that you thought was funny? And the one that I've been saying, comedy wise, is Bottoms. And I don't know if you know about Bottom. Io also had a lot of comedy chops before The Bear. The Bear sometimes gets called a comedy. No, it's like a dramedy. And Rachel Sennett, she's in it. And it's hilarious. Bottoms, I'm not on the take. There's no in it for me. But and Rachel Sennett also has a show on HBO right now called I Love LA, which I watch. I'll watch anything she does right now because I think she's kind of a very, for a woman her age, she's kind of carrying a torch for good comedy right now. That's my opinion. Okay. Bottoms was like, should have just been a sketch. And the tone of it is very sketch-like. Yeah. But they sustain it for a good hour and a half. So
when I think of the last movie that I laughed at, it was The Holdovers. I thought that was funny. I laughed. Years ago. Yeah, that was a couple of years ago. Yeah.
And Jay Roach just did a remake sort of War of the Roses called The Roses. And that was a good movie. And it had a lot of the same sensibility, but didn't perform. So I'm not exactly sure what's going on out there with the appetite for comedy. I mean, horror is dominating the box office. Right. Yeah. I just saw something that, said there was 25 movies that came out with major stars in them in the last 3 months, and none of them did anything.
Wow.
So even that is starting to get weird. Like, I have a big star for and it doesn't mean you're going to make box office.
Audiences will respond to an original concept, good at execution. If it's really funny, they'll go to something new. But the studios, don't get me started.
There's so many good stories and bad stories, I guess. I had a pretty good experience working DreamWorks and punched up a lot of their comedies during that period. Also Disney. One time I sat down and wrote all the films that I, did a comedy pass on. And it's funny, people, my credits don't really reveal how I, managed to sustain 30 plus years as a comedy writer. So much of it is uncredited stuff. And that's just the nature of it. It really depends. If you have a prolific producer who believes in you, that's what you want. Mm-hmm. You want somebody who's constantly making movies and they go, okay, of course we'll bring Jim on at this point. So that I sort of had that a bit with a guy named Jordan Kerner, who started to do a lot of the franchise-y kind of comedies. He did the Inspector Gadget movies. I wrote jokes for the 101 and 102 Dalmatians. John Hughes did the first one. I didn't work with John Hughes. Who, of course, John Hughes is brilliant. We all,
he did original thing. Everything he did was original.
And you know what? And then Judd Apatow sort of became the John Hughes of, the 21st century.
Yeah.
And now Judd's kind of, I'm sure he's still got great things planned, but he's on the downside a bit on production these days. And rightfully so. Do you want to work and work and work until you die? Or do you want to downshift and go, there's more to life than grinding and on 3 TV shows and have 3 features? I mean, there was a time where I'm sure his head was spinning.
I've discovered interior design.
That's much more relaxing.
I love it. It's my hobby.
I can just sit and just flip through a fabric book and just pick out swatches. I love it.
Nice to meet you, Jim, and nice to see you, David. David, you were talking about how you would love to have your own series, kind of like her, but you don't think it'll be sustainable enough. So, but I'm just wondering, do you want to work in front of the camera in other people's movies, or you just kind of more dream of doing your own?
No, I mean, I don't want to do a sitcom, and I don't want to appear in TV or movies unless I can do it better than any regular actor. I like hire actors, and they're highly skilled at what they can do. I did a scene with Leslie in Naked Gun 30 and 3 1/3. And I don't know if anybody could have done it better than I could have. So just to throw a body in there, I don't.
I have a crazy idea for you, actually.
Okay.
Which is why don't you try to make the funniest unscripted reality type show where there's a camera crew in the house.
We thought about that.
Or go mockumentary style. Because, it would be fun to see you in your natural habitat, and it would have an air of authenticity, as opposed to hiring a guy that's most like David Zucker.
Right. They
awkward.
thought that, and then didn't we have somebody write a script?
We Lewis and I tried to write a script, and Lewis wrote part of and he got the characters. Like documents on this. We have story beats. We have character breakdowns. We have so much material.
I know. I mean, because Larry David famously never wrote us any scripts for Curb. They literally just had a 2 or 3 page
outline, and they would improvise.
And it was just like, make sure that we get this information out so we can throw to the next scene. And everybody knew that at some point they had to kind of touch on these 3 things. And then he let him run wild. Yeah. Let me ask you this. This is, since I'm guess not supposed to ask questions.
You are. You can absolutely,
Because I don't watch the stuff I've done. I mean, if it's on, sometimes if I'm flipping and I go, oh, I'll watch a little, but I don't sit down and watch. And I don't invite me. You couldn't pay me to have people over and watch, Meet the Parents, Meet the Fockers, or some of the sitcom. Actually, some of the really early sitcom things I did, I have on VHS tape still.
Oh, yeah.
And if I could figure out how to put them on digital, I'll figure it out somehow.
Right.
Then I might invite people over just because it's just, look what I wrote when I was 28 years old, blah, blah. It's kind of but do you watch your own stuff ever?
No, hardly ever, unless it's been a long time. It was a long time ago.
And it would be people maybe bugging you to do it and you would invite them and make a thing of it, or you just...
No, I recently screened Scary Movie 3 at the Gardena Cinema, which is this,
but that was an
1,200
event that people
and I watched that, and Simon Rex was there, and I did a movie called An American Carol, and I watched that a year ago because I hadn't seen it in 20 years. I loved that. I thought it was great. But the Airplane, we screen it all the time. I've been screening it with Bob Hayes. Go on at the end to do
so you
Q&A. I don't watch it.
If you smoked, you would go out in the lobby and have a few, and then you would.
That's right. Yeah, like Groucho said. Yeah. For 5 years, I tried to make a movie out of that Airplane script, and the answer was no everywhere until we got it done at Paramount. So I've got script now that I'm that I want to get done, and I've just focused on that. If I can't direct Star of Malta, I'll just keep redoing my house.
Why not?
I'd rather do that than work in the business at anything. Yeah, I almost would like to just hook up a belt with a
drone,
with a thing, or a drone that would follow me.
You. It might get a little weird in some of these nicer cafes in Brentwood.
If we could rig up a couple of cameras that would be hidden in hats, and I have a person in front of me and a person behind me, I could do that and do a true hidden camera show. Yeah. Yeah. Impractical Jokers do, that hidden camera, but that's a big crew and a lot of cameras. And now when I do stuff, I start disrupting places like in a restaurant, and somebody will say, I saw your show on Pico, or a guy said in CVS, and don't call me Shirley. So I was making a scene at CVS.
Wow.
And I was leaving. I was leaving CVS.
Yes.
And there were these elderly ladies coming in, and I said, well, hello and welcome to CVS today. And so they would come in, and then more came in, and I said, oh, after you. And they would say, geez, that's so nice of you. I said, that was nice of me. And, I was born in the Truman administration and all this stuff, which about is the level that I feel at being, passed over for the Naked Gun remake. and not even a greeter at a casino like Willie Mays did for
oh my gosh,
years.
Did he?
I know, yeah.
Thank you so much, Roger. We have, one last question.
How do you add jokes to somebody else's script while making them sound naturalistic and like they're part of the actual story in the movie and not like inserts?
I mean, if you're a good writer, then you're always writing the comedy from the characters and the situation. And also, what a big thing is that ruins a lot of comedies? You don't stay consistent with your tone. I can start reading a script and immediately start writing jokes in the margins because pretty quickly I can sum up, what's the tone, What's the situation? It's funny. When I worked in sitcoms, I remember like you to have ideally three jokes per page. And by the way, in sitcoms, the dialogue is double spaced. So that's a pretty aggressive tempo for comedy. And feeling
that is because in movies, we did do 3 jokes per page.
Well, especially
singles,
yes, especially in
our kind of
style.
When
yes.
Airplane came out, it was like, oh my God, there's so many. It was packed with gags. And,
right. It's the machine gun kind of pace of the gags is what made Airplane so great. To answer your question again, you're first and foremost a writer. I've seen a lot of stand-up guys that write good jokes, try to write screenplays, and they don't really nail it because they're not thinking character and story. I had the good fortune of going to UCLA and doing 2 things at the same time. One was doing stand-up comedy around campus, and so I was constantly having to write jokes. But I also started to learn in film school, structure and film and storytelling. And then I also had written a lot of things before I even got to college, just like in high school, if there was, the pep rally was going to do a sketch, they always just came to me and I would just write it and I would MC the talent show and just stuff like that. So I kind of backed in. I didn't go off to college going, I'm going to write movies. But ultimately, when I got to that point in my life where they go, well, you have to declare a major. You can't just hang out. Yeah. And I went, crap, I guess I'll apply for film school. And like I said, there was a 1% acceptance rate. Wow. But because of one of the professors named Howard Suber, who only retired like a couple of years ago, he had come to a number of the comedy club shows on campus. And so he hung out. And I remember talking to him and saying, hey, I would love to take one of your film criticism classes. I've always been interested in analyzing film and then writing about. And he goes, what are you? And I go, I'm a sophomore. And he goes, you're not even in the film school yet. And I said, no. And he goes, well, I have a graduate film school class, an MFA class in film criticism that I will let you take it, but you've got to really work hard. This, that. And I went, wow. Okay. And I got credit for it too. It was a weird thing where I managed to still get the 4 units of credit. But there I was, like this little, I always look young for my age. So I probably looked like I was 16 in that class. And it was with guys who were getting their MFAs. They all had graduated and done something else. So they were all like 5 years older than me. But I literally took it so seriously and worked so hard on them that about, maybe 4 or 5 weeks in, he pulled me aside and said, wow, you wrote the best paper in the class this week. So just back to the 1% acceptance rate thing, part of the thing that when you apply to film school is you have to submit a film criticism. So I already had that in spades. And then it turns out there's like 5 professors that 3 or 4 of them have to say, this guy's getting in, and Suber was one of them. So I kind of gamed the system a little bit there by getting into film school. But yeah, I mean, it was a good combo and, reverse engineering and going, how did I wind up where I was? Well, learn how to write jokes and learn how to write movies and learn how to study film.
I don't recall getting any formal training. We just learned by making a lot of mistakes.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, you had your group, your gang.
We had our gang and we just did, we started out just, we were making jokes. We were funny guys. But I've always said, there were 5 or 6 guys who were funnier than we were in high school, but they managed to find jobs and go to college and everything. And
I would love it if you did a one of these podcasts and just talked mostly about Kentucky Fried Movie.
Because, I could do that. Okay.
Because we know how you got Airplane because of Kentucky Fried Movie,
right?
And the Kentucky Fried Movie has, as in my opinion, laughs wise. It's right up there with, some of the sketches you guys did.
Right. Well, I would like
the Bruce Lee thing.
I would like to
stuff.
Recut Kentucky Fried Movie. And, I'm remodeling everything.
Yeah.
So I want to recut it because there's stuff that, I just,
when you shorten it, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I would shorten it. Yeah. So we're advertising this big, Airplane, the unreleased director's cut, and it's 3 minutes shorter.
Yeah.
Because Jerry and Jim and I went mostly at my urging, we got to recut this. We did the same thing with Top Secret. And then we cut out some scenes from Top Secret where people said, oh no, that was a great scene. You should have put it.
I mean, don't you have a DVD where there's extras and you throw those on there? I mean, I know DVD is like a what? People are like, what is that?
Well,
people don't even have Blu-ray players anymore.
Right. But, special materials for comedies, deleted scenes, they're deleted because they weren't funny. And I think that's what these screenings that Bob Hayes and I are doing. People are expecting, they're going to see, deleted scenes, but we don't show them. They're not funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so it's 3 minutes shorter. So,
but what might be funny is watching a deleted scene while you're commentating on it. That might be worth the price of admission.
Yeah.
That's a good idea. You know, like this guy Herzfeld is right twice a day. I'm telling you.
What advice do you have for your younger self?
This is for the landing part of this program.
Yeah.
I would say don't eat the fish.
That's right. There you go.
Have people watching this who are obviously interested in a comedy career. They want to become funnier. They want to write. Maybe they're really funny people in real life.
I hope so. I think that I've told people when I've done panels and whatnot, and I don't want to sound so hard to do this, but honestly, and Jerry.
I've
I
lived
love
my
Ghost.
whole life under the shadow of my brother.
Ghost was amazing.
Ghost was, yes. Yeah. People bow down to Ghost, and it was great. But I did get
All right, so look, let's just note the time and date right now that maybe this was the first early Alzheimer's moment I had.
That's right, yeah. It dates from here.
This is
where it starts.
The doctor might want to know that.
Yeah.
David may agree with this, that I used to tell people Austin Film Festival or something, there'd be 200 people and whatever. And I'd say, raise your hand if if it's your dream to be a comedy writer. And, tons of hands would go up. And I said, okay, I'm going to go and say that if you walk into just, an average cocktail party, 40 people are there. I said, if you walk in at that cocktail party and start, trying to converse with people and kind of be light and kind of funny, if you're not the funniest person in that room of 40, you may struggle to be a comedy writer. I really feel like you have to have always been people who are constantly saying, oh my God, that person's funny. Or that's the world you live in from a pretty early age. Now some people are very funny in their minds and they maybe write funny things down. They don't go out and go, oh, I'm going to work the room like I'm doing a tight five at the Comedy Store. Right. But for me, I mean, this is kind of, I'm proud and yet embarrassed. Unanimous vote for class clown, right? You're in a high school of several hundred kids and you're graduating, whatever, and they all go, oh yeah, that guy. And it doesn't have to be just the one guy. Okay, of your 100 people in your school, who are the 3 funniest or 4 funniest? If you're not one of them, you are going to struggle to be a comedy writer because you can't just decide at the age of, I'm out of college now, I'm 22. I'm going to do 2 things. I'm going to learn how to write screenplays and I'm going to learn to be funny. Yeah. You can't do it.
But, if you achieve that level of, you're funny at parties and you're funny in class or something, you still have to learn how to, there's stuff.
There's an art to writing a joke.
There's an art to writing. And like I'm teaching the 15 rules in our Master Crash course. And it won't help you be funny, but it will help you. It's a shortcut to not making dumb mistakes like we did.
Yes. Yeah. And I believe, there are certain, you want to call them rules, of course. Sometimes you can start writing and some of these things will become clear to you organically because you're already, a talented comedy writer. But if you don't know the rules that he's talking about, they're going to be immensely helpful because we're not writing poetry.
Right.
We're wordsmiths and we're crafting things, but there's still certain things that always will get laughs, like hypocrisy and irony. And,
and then within a spoof, there's a whole set of rules that we have that people need to know if they're going to try it.
Yes.
And as evidenced by the dreadful Naked Gun 4. And they didn't know the rules, although they're talented comedy guys.
Yes.
And very successful comedy guys. Anyways, don't get,
Also, Mad Magazine. We both grew up reading that.
Mad Magazine was great.
Huge influence.
Yeah. And they actually did Scenes We'd Like to See.
Yes.
That's a textbook.
Did you have any of your movies satirized in a Mad Magazine?
Jerry did.
Of course.
Getting back to Jerry.
Because you did probably Ghost, maybe.
Yeah, Ghost.
Because you have to have a straight movie, sort of straight.
Right. No, it was straight. But it had funny things in it. It was very straight. And it was spoofable and Jerry thought it was great. Yeah.
Yes. Because, it may not be too late, but if he doesn't have the original artwork, you can call and try to get it. I have the original artwork for Meet with the Parents.
Oh, really? They did
Repeat the Fuck-Ups.
Oh,
those
how do
are the
you
two.
spoof a spoof? Though?
Well, they just, you know what they do? Even when it's a good movie or funny, they will still just, that's what Mad does. They'll still just
because I couldn't see them doing Airplane because the Airplane.
No, how do you do that?
Yeah, you can't.
Right.
But I could see them doing Ghosts. I guess the Fockers.
It was straight enough that they could goof on it. And, they would make jokes about, how many times De Niro would make that pained face.
Yeah.
Or in the fact, in Meet the Fockers, they called Repeat the Fuck-Ups because they goofed on how we seem to go to the same well so many times in the sequel. I don't entirely agree with that, but that's what Mad Magazine does. They want to point that stuff out and then they're going to hammer that home. Yeah. And I'm just so thrilled because I don't hang the one sheets in my house, but I do have the artwork up of those two.
I wonder if magazines. Jerry has the artwork.
If he doesn't, he should immediately call whoever's still there because the magazine's down now because the artists own it now.
Oh, really?
If he can find the magazine and whoever drew it, that person's estate has it.
Oh,
and they will send it to him.
Wow.
Sell it to him.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Finish this sentence. A joke dies the second you.
Tell the punchline first.
Yeah. This is the lightning round.
Try to remember the order. Set up, punchline. Don't screw that up.
And you, David? A joke dies the second you.
I don't even have a clue. A real what?
The second you try to be funny.
The second you try to be funny, that goes to our Jerry Lewis rule. And there's so many little things that go into it. I always refer to this one gag in Naked Gun where the doctor says to Nordberg's wife, I think we can save your husband's arm. Where would you like it sent? So you'd think that was a funny gag. And we tried it in 2 previews. It didn't work. And finally, the 3rd preview, we just did it as a voiceover. We had to throw it away. So I can't think of any one rule for everything, but there's so many things that go into it. And that's why previews are so valuable. You have to let the audience decide.
I mean, the jokes are essentially a surprise, right? And so if you ever even slightly telegraph the punchline or where it's going, then you've kind of killed it.
And we always talk about, we have to background things. So when Leslie says there's turbulence and Leslie is in the cabin and he says, what the hell's going on up there? There's 2 legs, female legs in stirrups, and he's holding a speculum. So, and the audience sees it, but we don't cut to it. So that's the other thing.
It's enough.
Don't cut to it. Let the audience.
A joke dies when it's overwrought. Yes.
That's right. That's right. Or
I would say, don't write it sweaty.
When you focus,
don't write it sweaty. When you can tell that somebody's working so hard to make the joke, not good.
They get killed.
Yeah, there was a review and we saved all of our reviews from Kentucky Fried Theater on Pico, and one reviewer said they do it with effortless ease, and so it wasn't labored. I said that's pretty much what you're saying.
Yeah. Also, a good stand-up comedian sounds like he's just making it up for the first time, and you're talking to him, and they've done it a million times.
And going past a joke, like Bob Hope used to go, but I want to tell you, just keep going, throw it away, don't wait for the laugh.
Right.
And
Rodney Dangerfield.
Yeah. Just too many stand-ups, I think, they wait for the laugh to die down, where they should just plow right. They should go no further than halfway through the laugh before going into the next gag.
Yeah. It should be your biggest problem that some of the jokes in your movie get buried from the laughter of the prior joke.
Right. Yeah.
It's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
We'll just have to watch
but we did extend some of the things, like when Kareem says, tell your old man to drag Walton and Lydia up and down the court for 38 minutes or so. And then he shoves the kid back. And that laugh was so long that we just extended.
You had to put in the thing.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Jim.
And you knew more than I thought you ever knew.
I know. It's, don't let the face deceive you.
Right. We'll have him on again if he can navigate the 4
or go to 60 minutes overtime for more material.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, thank you so much for being here. And thank you guys for joining online. We will see you next time.
Are you wondering how you can ask a question during one of these episodes? Being in the room is easy. Join us at mastercrash.com. Thanks for listening.